Welcome to the CS Time Clock Web Interface Training Session 3, Employee Schedules. In the last CS Time Clock training session, we talked about employees, how to add them, how to allocate RFID tags, and to change fingerprint settings. In this session, we're going to talk about employee schedules. Employee schedules are the parameters which define employee attendance times and how their hours are going to be calculated into the time categories of normal time and overtime. To insert an employee schedule, go to the processing menu, select employee schedules, and that will show you a list of employees who already have allocated schedules. You can see there the top one, Jim, has a start time of 7, a finish time of 15:30, an automatically deducted lunch of 30 minutes. His shift length is 8 hours, and this overtime limit is when the second overtime category cuts in. So after his normal hours, he moves to time and a half for the first 3 hours, and then after that, it'll move to double time. And there's a time in for every day of the week, including Saturdays and Sundays. You can copy schedules from one employee to another. So if I look at the schedule for Jim here and have a look at a user that doesn't have a schedule, like Joe, you just select Joe, press copy, and that'll insert a schedule that's the same as the one selected. If you made a mistake and meant to allocate that to somebody else, just highlight the record, press the delete, and then the delete again, and that'll remove the schedule from that employee, and then you can allocate the correct one. So this time I'll copy Julie's to Joe, press copy, and now Joe will have the same schedule as Julie. Obviously, if all your employees have the same schedule time, you just have to set up one and then just copy them down to the rest of the employees. Now, to insert a schedule, you press the Insert button, select the employee you want to add the schedule for, and it'll only show the employees who don't have a schedule. So I'm going to select John Smith. Now, John's got a start time of 6 o'clock, an end time of 14:30, a lunchtime automatically deducted, and we recommend, at least in the early stages, that you do automatically deduct lunch rather than have employees clock in and clock out for lunch. You can introduce that down the track. That makes a total shift length of 8 hours. And the overtime limit is, in this case, 2 hours. So after 2 hours, it changes from time and a half to double time. Now, to copy this down, I just highlight the entire record using a swipe of the mouse and a left click. Press Control C for copy. I just highlight the entire record with a Control Copy and a Control V to copy that down. Same with this, Control C to copy, Control V all the way down, Control C, Control V. Just repeat the process until all the weekdays are filled. We might have an early start on Saturday, let's say at 6 o'clock, and an early finish, 10 o'clock. No lunch because the employee is only working 4 hours. In most cases, employees don't have a lunch if they work for 4 hours. They might have a paid morning tea, but in this instance, we have no lunch. Total length of the day is 4, and overtime would move to the double time category on Saturdays at 2 hours. On Sundays, a similar thing. We might have a 6 o'clock start on a Sunday, a 10 o'clock finish, no lunch, total of 4 hours, and overtime kicks in immediately. So we're going to make that 0. The rest of the parameters will leave the same. These schedule override some of the systems for this individual schedule. We'll talk about those in greater detail in advanced setup, which is a subject of a later training session. So for the moment, this simple schedule is best applied to most employees, obviously depending on the start and finish times. And then once you start getting some clockings in for employees, then you'll be able to understand more about their clocking habits, whether they clock a bit early, clock a bit late, whatever the case is, and we can adjust the schedules in a later training session. So we're going to add this schedule, and now that schedule is in there for that employee. That's basically how you set up a simple schedule for an employee. Then in the next session, we'll be talking about actual clocking for employees and how they translate into hours using those schedules.